Welcome, everybody, to Edge of the Rabbit Hole here on Connecting the Universe. I'm author and researcher Mike Ricksecker. With me, as always, my co-host is Victoria Mundae. We have a fantastic episode coming up for you tonight. I know it's been a little while since we've done an Edge of the Rabbit Hole episode. It's summer. We've been traveling and doing stuff. We have a good friend of mine, and just introduced him to Victoria here, Frank Rogala. He joined me on Stargates of Ancient Egypt tour a few years ago, had an incredible time there. We became fast friends, and he's really like the nicest guy in the world. And even though he's a musician by trade, he's a researcher as well. Just came out with this new book, Saving Civilization, Cracking Open Reality. And it's big. It's a big book, but there's so much in here that we're going to dive into this evening on this. Also, Frank is hosting the first, and hoping annual here, Frank, the first Disclosure in Mackinac event. So great lineup here. Mortalsoferarth.com is Frank's website. So jump on that. It's August 31st through September 2nd. So just in really a few weeks here. Frank, how's it going, my friend?
I'm so happy to be talking with you. I really had just a great time with you when we met in Egypt, and just got to explore and discover so many stargates. And since then, the whole subject of stargates has kind of really opened up,
Yeah.
And before that, I had known that a lot of the physics that would support it as an idea rather than just some kind of myth. And now I actually know some people that have been through portals and stargates, and it's probably going to be part of this evolving disclosure at some point, and you're going to be way ahead of the game, letting people know the ancient origins of this, and some probably natural and manufactured, and there's just so much mystery around this subject. But now that you've been opening people's eyes, you've got the books that you've been doing on the fluid nature of what we think of as a solid universe, I think is really a good way to help people understand that maybe in the past things have been a lot more static, but we're coming into a time now where that veil is really thinning.
It is. Yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you, Frank, because yeah, you are by trade and a fantastic musician at that, by the way. And I remember being there in your studio, and you were sharing some different cuts and edits and things that you'd done. I was like, wow, this stuff is really good. And I know you also you travel to California a lot to do a lot of work there, so you kind of like have almost like two homes. What got you? Like, what piqued your interest to get you into this sort of research? And you started traveling the world, you started visiting these incredible sites like Egypt. You've spent some time down in Mexico, South America as well, and compiling a book like this. What got you started on this road?
Couple of answers to that. One of them, was my original, when I was 10 years old, my brother and I, in broad daylight, having an encounter where a ship just appeared that was enormous, like the size of a football field, in broad daylight, with no sound and no wind, and very close. And as a 10-year-old child, I knew that was not a normal thing. I knew that if you were my teacher, my president, my priest, and you weren't telling me what that was, I didn't trust you to know what was going on. So I think from that age, I always had a skeptical eye. But it took, I had just, when I met you in Egypt, I had just been there in a couple of months before with Nassim Haramein. And it was
right. Yeah, it was just it was only like 4 or 5 months, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And when I went, what's this? I got to come back here, right? And so I had gotten to know Muhammad. You were doing the tour with him, and so bang, I went right back, and I've been on quite a few trips with Muhammad to other places too, to Turkey and back to Egypt with Trevor and things. And I think on the first trip, I ended up sitting on the plane to Aswan next to Nassim Haramein, and I didn't at the point that I didn't even know who he was. I was like, I'm going to Egypt. My cousin sent me a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that his trip cost like 3 times more than everybody else's. I knew it was going to be expensive, right? So I just booked it. And then I sit down and he goes, who are you? And I'm like, well, who are you? And and now, like, when you read the book, you'll see that he had getting to know him and having him sit down and explain to me, like, he basically is unified physics, but nobody is paying attention, right? And so, it's people like, and then I met William Brown, who he works with, who's basically identified things that no one's thought about. Like, we think of intelligence, we're very arrogant in the universe. We think that intelligence has to look like us. We're these sacks of water walking around. We see like this much, like I can't even make a line thin enough of how much we're perceiving of what's around us, but we think we know everything. And he wrote a new definition of what was intelligent and sentient. And it made, like, right now, everybody thinks of the Turing test as being a measure, right?
Sure.
And all that is if something is emulating a human. It's not even like an intelligence test, really. It's like how well it fools you that it's a human. And we've got this universe that's basically all this plasma that's been out there for billions of years. And when we create even a ball of plasma in a lab, it immediately starts acting intelligently and doing things that we can't explain. So it was basically getting to know a lot of people in this world that are not taking the stock answers and the mainstream narrative along with myself. I had returned to on a trip with Nassim, because we became friends, to Greece, and I was standing next to him in Mykonos, and the idea for this book just like it hit me like a lightning bolt, kind of. And my joke is it was supposed to hit him and I was standing in the way, because it literally took me 3 years to articulate it. Because once I saw it in my head, it became like, I don't want to make it sound complicated because it's not, but when you start doing relationships, you have to have mathematics and geometry and things like that. And so I went, Nassim, what if we restructured human knowledge in the shape of, and I gave him the overview, and he looked at me and went, oh, that's a good idea. And I'm like, oh.
It's like you gave him the idea, but now you ran with it though, and you wrote this.
Well, and I ended up, after that, on the way home, I stopped to talk to William Brown, and I told him the idea, and I have a 2-hour interview with him that I have not put out yet, because he started using the idea in the context of the interview, and I realized that it was a technology. And I had just had another friend who had, he had been gifted something from somebody who wasn't human, basically taking a Vogel crystal and wrapping it in a clockwise or counterclockwise manner with silver and might be copper wire. And it just makes a current, right?
Okay, sure.
And he had published the paper because this not human told him that everything that they use works off this, but that was all he was able to give us. We had to do the rest ourselves. So he was opening it up. Well, some guy in France patented it. And so he was able to prove prior art, or he would have had to license his own idea. Okay. And so this actually is a technology that now is patent pending that I had to file before the book came out, which was like, not only have to write the book, but then I have to figure out how to write a patent. Right. And so that was a big thing. And just how weird life is. So I'm with Trevor Grassi in the middle of the jungle, going to Piedras Negras. We're like on a boat, like, hitting a rock, and there's nobody there to rescue us. And and there's crocodiles and poisonous snakes and, just drug gangs, graffiti on ancient ruins in the middle of the jungle. Yeah. It looks like one of those old Tarzan movies where somebody goes in the quicksand, and I
thought that was going to be a bigger problem as an adult. Quicksand. Yeah.
We were talking about that. It's like, anyway, so we didn't run into any quicksand, but the other guy, like, it was Trevor, Marco Vagato, the guys keeping us alive. And then the other dude was a patent attorney. And,
well, that's fortunate.
You should always travel with one. Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I have to write a patent, so he gave me some advice, and he did it from the point of view. He was worked in Mexico, but he had done U.S. patents. And he was the one that made me hip to the idea that if you file a copyright, you only have a year to get your patent in. Otherwise, they won't let you do it. And at this point, I thought, oh, I'm doing prior art. I'll file a copyright with the idea, and not realizing I'd lit a fuse. So then I had to quickly get that done. And I made it like, a week before it expired. And then I got back a notification that I have a year to make it into a real thing. It's pending. And I also got a thing saying that I should file it in other countries, which I'm like, oh, great. Now other languages, So yeah, but just if you want, Mike, I got like a minute-long thing of basically is the one thing it says mainstream. There is a video of talking about how knowledge is structured now. This is what downloaded to me really quick, and I'm trying to make it into 2-minute videos, right? So the first one is basically going to show you the structure and the problem, and then we'll talk about it, and I'll show you the solution.
Sounds good. Yeah. So for our viewers, Frank has uploaded some different photos and videos here for our listeners. Well, you could always watch the come here on Wednesday nights and come watch the video. So I always encourage our podcast listeners to come out here and watch. But I do appreciate
it is on my webpage, on the homepage of Mortals of Earth, if you want to see the visual, because the audio does describe it. So
okay. So let's go ahead and
this is how we organize knowledge. It all flows along this narrow stream of widely accepted and established methods, wisdom, procedures. It's so rooted, intrinsic, and ingrained that we just participate and cooperate and think within this narrow line without question. Anything that doesn't fit inside this line might be called an anomaly or a mistake, and generally it gets ignored. This structure got us to where we are today. This structure is destroying civilization. What can save us? Let's talk about a new model, a new system based on one of nature's most durable and ubiquitous foundational structures.
Yeah, I've always found that to be true, Frank, that if it doesn't fit within the narrative, then we're going to chalk it up to pseudoscience or some of these other things. And coming through the myself, the more kind of paranormal, supernatural field before getting into everything that I do today. The whole idea of something being quote unquote supernatural. Well, I always love the quote from Dr. Hans Holzer, who said, there is nothing supernatural in this world. Everything in this universe is natural. So yeah, it drives me nuts when I see some of these different you have fantastic new discoveries, the scans under the pyramids, things like this, and because it doesn't fit the narrative, and it wasn't like a specific authority figure that discovered it. No, we're just gonna toss it to the side. So it seems like that's where you're headed down here.
So yeah, so basically what happened was as I started, I went to Easter Island and talked to the Rapa Nui, and I talked to some Mayan elders, and then went to Greece and talked to some of the historians there, and all their ancient languages have been pretty much destroyed. The Mayan, the Mayan elders, they've got bits of it and they can recite them, but it's not like they have the whole 360 of it. But what remains, like on the stelas, when they explain it to you, in one corner is like a date and a time, and that informs everything else. And like ancient Arabic was numerically encoded, and all these ancient languages, Celtic too, Greek, they were not like our language. There was in Celtic language, it would take you 18 years to really get a command of it. And what people that have some of it left, when they read their brain scans, their brain lights up completely differently than for any of the normal languages. And historically, when you look at it, they literally burn people at the stake to rub out these old languages. I mean, sure. It was a huge, and so I would not have had to write this book if we still had these ancient languages. And so I trace this back to being a control system that goes back to the beginning of civilization. And when Trevor and I did that expedition to Piedras Negras, Marco Vagata was with us, and he's a very academic guy. Like there's many subjects we'll probably talk about today that he won't even talk about with me, but
Okay.
but he's very we're very respectful. We have our own points of view on the world, right? But he has a book called The Stages of Atlantis, which is kind of out there for an academic, right? And he talks about, it's the same thing that Solon, Plato's uncle, was told. Is like, you guys think there was one cataclysm? There's a bunch of them, right?
There's a whole bunch. Yeah. Sanchi's told Solon that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he actually somehow has like recovered a lot of information about these previous cataclysms and what was going on, right?
Good.
And so one of them, and there's other basis for this, was basically there was a break off civilization. It was very dark, and they were doing a lot of genetic things that were, dark ceremonies, demonic things, and evoking and creating, like, when you look into these, what's said is they were doing a lot of DNA things, combining things and making weird chimeras, and for dark sexual reason, like really creepy stuff, right? And then we had a cataclysm, and it's part of my book too, but we're recovering a lot of forbidden artifacts in Mexico right now that are telling us a story that's very along the line that fits this, that after this last cataclysm, those guys survived, and that's who's running everything right now. And they're behind the scenes, and the good guys are still around. I've got some friends that have experienced, they're kind of, they have ways of hiding themselves in plain sight.
Okay.
And so the what's happened is it's like you're connecting, the connecting universe. It's just like everything's connecting for me. It's making sense, right? Because the story I was told when I grew up just did not make sense. And then I found out, there were parts of the Bible that's missing, and there's all these versions of it. And here's these other pieces. And here's, what did that say? And what did that say? And then when you see the Book of Enoch, so what's happened, you mentioned the conference in a couple of weeks. There's a bunch of information drops that are going to happen at this conference that like every day it's something new. Like yesterday, I just got something from Italy. When I went there for the second Sphinx, Corrado Malanga is not known in this country, but he's revered there. And Filippo Biondi credits him with pointing him in the direction to use his technology on. And I just got from his people the first like English translation of one of his methods of finding out whether you've been abducted, whether you've been messed with, whether you've been on your soul level, if you've been split or used. And they've been after me to do this. And they said that he had not translated his work into English because he liked staying alive, he said. But they're starting to do some of his work in his videos and things. And Trevor just did one of the first interviews with him when we were there. He just aired it recently. Anyway, that came in yesterday. The day before, Trevor Hawk gave me 2 hours of new data on these artifacts that is just earth-shattering, as far as you can go outside in your backyard and get what you need to make materials that are impervious to hot and cold and moisture and lichens, that would be earthquake and hurricane safe, that will require zero maintenance, and make concrete that will heal like the Roman concrete that will heal itself, And so he is, and so that's all going to be presented at the conference, along with Scott Walter bringing like Yeshua's handwriting, explaining that he's half human and half not human, right? And then other Knights Templar documents that they've recovered and just decoded, talking about dealing with other not human species. And I mean, it goes on and on. Trevor Grassi is bringing material together with Jean Charles that corroborates 3 different sources about a ship, not a sailing ship,
right,
under Giza Plateau, and including sources from the CIA. So
It sounds like it's going to be an absolutely fantastic conference with, I mean, you have some fantastic guests. I'll throw the image up here again. So Disclosure in Mackinac, August 31st through September 2nd. And so people just go to mortalsoferarth.com to get tickets. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. And you can also get the online for 3 days. We're going to do a Skywatch. JP, Jorge Paban has gotten to be a great friend. The guy's like, he has invited me to go to Puerto Rico with his father to show me some things, but he is bringing a pine cone given to him from a spaceship that he has, and he's shown it on camera, and no one's really identified it yet, right? And seeds are falling out of it. And he feels compelled to plant a seed in Mackinac, which has given me a responsibility.
See what happens. Yeah.
Well, I have a responsibility attack over this because, like, can you imagine what would be more valuable than this, right? So I'm looking up everything I can. Something, okay, sandy soil that's mildly acidic, and it says to start it in January to give it a head start. Put it someplace where nobody knows because you don't want it stolen, and then you don't need deer. Did you lose me? Here, see.
No, I got you.
Okay, my whole screen just moved over.
So not at the campground then. Well,
okay, so wherever it is, it's going to have to be secret because you don't. I mean, but he said that these Nordic beings, because he interfaces with them, and they're actually doing training exercises. And there's been several other sources talking about this recently as well, that he said they're kind of like Spock. They don't give you emotion. He said, but when he handed him this, he had this look at his face like, watch this, like kind of a thing, right? So, and the cone is not like somebody said that it looked like it was Sequoia family, but I've seen a lot of Sequoia cones and they don't look like this, right?
Okay.
And like a jack pine has to have a fire to open up.
Right.
That's a different kind of cone than a regular pine cone. It's kind of like it's already opened up, but it's kind of like, it doesn't have like scales. It's kind of like, it's very unusual looking. So anyway, another thing at Disclosure at Mackinac happening. And so when I heard this, I said, JP, well, actually, JP speaks like 3 or 4 languages, and English is not his first, I don't think. And so when he first was talking about it, he said it was acorn. And I'm like, acorn. So at this point, we were working on a film about what we think is an alien tomb in Mexico. And we were getting advice because you have to watch out for some things. Like he said, okay, you need to wear an N90 mask. He said, there's a powder. If you breathe it, you will die. He said, it'll give you pneumonia. You can't recover. Things like this, he was giving us advice on. And so I had, I got JP on speed dial. So I'm like, JP, did you mean acorn or did you mean a pine cone? He goes, oh yeah, pine cone. I'm like, dude, you have it? He goes, oh yeah, it's right over here, right? Gets it out and shows it to me. And I said, okay, all over the world, I've seen these beings, like with either a beard or a avian nose, and they're holding a pine cone and they got a bag.
Sure. Yeah.
I said, you got a pine cone from a guy off a spaceship, right? I got 3. I can show you one. Ancient bags. Let me grab one here.
No, I'm just gonna grab one. So Victoria, feel free to jump in whenever you'd like. And there's Tom McNicholas with a $20 super chat. Says so interesting. So thank you very much, super chat superstar Tom McNicholas.
Frank, I just want to tell you, I'm in the middle of nowhere, and I have greenhouses, so just
oh, okay. Well,
bring it on down. They'll never find me. And I do CE5 too, so I'm like there already.
I always call it Skywatch because I don't know if I'm violating a brand or trademark. CE5,
right.
It's probably fine, right? But yeah. So
Frank, can you show us the bag again?
Yeah, I've got actually have 5 of them coming.
Okay.
Which is interesting. This is actually the polymer material that we've just identified, and you can see there's like a kind of a pod being here floating, right?
Yeah.
And there's a guy down here. He's standing on top of this, and then there's a guy here. He's holding a bag out towards, and his head is here with there's just a lot of graphics on. This is kind of hard to see, but basically
hard to see, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a guy swimming and he's holding a big thing like he's breathing out of it, and it's like all in.
Oh yeah, the whole like bladder that he's breathing. Yeah. And
so I'm sorry. Is that like a?
It's like Acadian.
No. Oh, what's the thing I never can remember? Anunnaki swag bag.
Anunnaki. Yeah, it's all related. Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
it like, or is that
so-
Timu? I mean, where
well-
did you get it?
well,
Was
there's-
it in the
okay.
ground or?
This came from Wales,
Okay.
in the middle of the desert, and I've got
So it was
what-
like a buried artifact. Is what I'm
yeah,
getting at.
yeah. This is probably this one hasn't. I haven't had this one dated yet, but since we now know that there's a plant-based catalyst inside of this, we can date it because we used to be thought that this was a stone, and now we know that it's aluminum silicate, which is alumina, which is a sand, and what's interesting is that is a crystal, right? So
Right.
I had a lot of strange things happen when I first got these. I had to like have a talk with them because they were messing with electronic things, and I was like, okay, we have to find another way because this is getting expensive. They were turning things on, and so I've got some other. There's a classic kind of one too that's more rounded, like a handbag that's coming that was just found in the site where we've been digging in Tula. What's interesting is you go Tula and you get on a plane, fly 2 hours north to Wales, and I find artifacts both places, and it's hundreds, thousands of square miles. I would bet you there are millions of these, because to go that distance, and I get out my dowsing rods and it goes here, and away in Tula, when they dig graves, they're finding them, you know. The thing is it's very exciting, but it's super dangerous. So when I talk about this, I always tell people, like, don't do this, because like, I'm an old dude. I had a great life. It's fine. But, you know, like, I mean, you're out of town. You're a target, because these are really small places. They're very desperate. It's all a lot of like very, you know, shoot you as guys have body armor with machine guns riding around in four-wheelers, right? The police have tanks, literal tanks. Nassim Haramein was going to go down and do an expedition, and 3 days before, there was a video on the internet of like 3 guys all machine gunning the head of the police in the town. So it's just, you know, the Wild West.
Which town was this we need to stay out of?
Oalos.
Oalos. Okay.
Yeah, and the thing is like everybody there's got like a broken windshield, because the roads there, you know, their speed bumps will take your muffler off. Their speed bumps are like this big, and so when we were going there, my friend Anthony Michael had relationships with all these people, and I said, okay, get the shittiest, excuse me, you know, rental car you can get, right? We get there, and it's this beautiful white car. I'm like, we're gonna stand out, because I mean, everybody's got busted up stuff there, right?
Yeah.
So we get there, we found a place to hide the car, and then we had local friends like hide us in the back of their car so we didn't stand out. And then when you go out, you're in the middle of nowhere. So if anything happens, I mean, they're never going to find you, right? But this is the most interesting thing, because from hanging out with Nassim Haramein a bit, he's like kind of he's a rock climber. So he's like a spider. He'll go like straight up these rocks, and I'm trying to keep up with him, right? Well, if he sees a granite hill, he's going to the top of it, especially if he's in some ancient place. Well, we're in this crazy place in Wales that's got, they call it the temple, and it looks like a bunch of melted statues on this hillside.
Okay.
Completely fascinating. I'm thinking, I got to get up there. I want to see, you know, Nassim would go up there in 2 minutes. So I start going, and our guides are like, no. And there was a company has put wind turbines up there, and they've got cameras all over and security, right? And I said, well, maybe they're US based and I can get permission, and we could go and explore, because I'm thinking, wait, those are really big wind turbines. And after being there for the day, I realized that you don't dig those in without finding a lot of stuff there. Anyway,
Sure.
So I said, okay, well, what's the name of the company? Let me just see if I can get a hold of them. The name of the company is Draco. So
Nice.
it all made a lot of sense, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't go up there anyway. Yeah.
So when you find those, are you supposed to turn them over to like the directors of antiquities, or is it just something that goes in your little bag?
When you think, okay, so this is a discussion with me and Marco.
It goes to the director of antiquities. It gets lost in, you know.
Well, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Well, here's the thing. That's
the narrative.
Great question, because okay. So I'm with Marco Vagato, and I told him, and he doesn't want to hear any. He's like, but I said, look, the ages on these predate everything you're looking up now. He's now going out and doing some Olmec stuff. It's in cartel country. He had to get permission, and he's going to get pictures of stuff that nobody's been able to get. And he said, I know people that are above the law. They're so wealthy. There's no law. And he goes, they pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for Olmec stuff. And what you're telling me, the ages on these predate that 3 and 4 times. He goes, these are like priceless if that's true. You're like, but this is him saying there's no way it's true, right? I'm going, yeah, you're right. They should be. But the fact that they have like, non-human, alien stuff, they just want to pretend that they're not real.
Right.
And it's by the way, this is one of my favorite ones because it's got that on the side of it.
Oh, it's got the DNA.
Yeah, like what's that doing on there, right? So like right now, I have a third of my collection is here. A third is in a storage locker in Laredo, Texas, and a third still got to make it across the border. And it's like, well, actually, do I have a video of the crystal skulls? I think I do. Anyway.
Yeah, you have a crystal skull. You want me to crank that up?
We'll bring up the picture of the cave. We'll have to describe it for the people that are listening. The all skulls one, we can talk about it. But
okay, all skulls. Okay, we can add that.
I'm a little bit safer than Laredo. Just saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what it was is my guy had to cross the border, put it in, and then go back home, and then he's going to bring more, but he didn't want to bring it all at once. Plus, these are heavy. Like those 2 skulls there in the middle, those are probably about 50 or 60 pounds each, and then that crystal tablet there, it's about a 1.5 feet, and it's about 2 inches thick, and I carried that one out myself. But you're in a little thing and you're sliding out, and then you're doing like a fireman bucket thing to get things out, right? And so by the time you load up an SUV with these, you got a lot of weight, right? So once they get across the border, if everything goes okay, these skulls do not look like anything traditional Mesoamerican,
How did these skulls, the 2 that you call the twins, how do they compare? Because the image is small here. How do they compare to like the Paracas skulls?
I have a Paracas skull right here. So let me grab it. We'll talk. Okay, hang on.
All right.
My Paracas skull's in the other room.
No, you got a Paracas skull too? Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's there we go.
Now, how do you get that out of Peru? That's what I want to know.
Yeah. So, well, this is a model of one, but I keep it because of the dimensions, right? Because you're talking. There's no way you do this with skull deformation. You've got literally, another full factor of what brain would fit inside of here. Yeah. Now, when you look at these artifacts, it's like going into the cantina on Star Wars with the different types of beings that it shows. You'll get them. One of the skulls that's in that cave is like a cone head. Interesting thing about that one. You could see it. It's let's see. It's a little hard to see, but between the twin and the guy, the scary guy on the right, its head goes up, and it's a beautiful rose quartz. And as we're passing it out, because it was too heavy to, you couldn't stand up. Every person that got it was like, it felt like a baby. It was like, it was like this warm feeling, right? Now, the one in the front there on the right was not that feeling, right? That one's not coming to Mackinac. That one can go someplace else. It's
right.
fine.
That almost looks like something out of a Hollywood film, actually.
Oh, man. And that was probably the most valuable one because it's made out of jade.
Oh, wow.
Jade,
Okay.
which almost as hard as a diamond. It's incredibly carved, but it was like, it could be incredibly carved someplace else because I know people that have gotten some of these. There's a personality to these places.
Oh, yeah.
Mark Russell, who's coming to Disclosure Mackinac, he's one of the guys that's one of the original expatriates that's been to a lot of different places and seen them. And he said, from this place here to this place here, the styles will vary, right? And in Tula is completely different than the Wales. And I never wanted anything Tula beef. I never wanted it around me. It's just the energy of it. But I asked, and the pendulum tilts. Okay, this is good. This is okay. This is okay. Because
it would hold the pendulum over each one.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and there's two people I know of, and people I know of, a couple other people. You get the wrong ones of these, and I mean, there. I think that what was going on here,
Oh,
a spiritual battery, I think, because they had that one on the right was like very aggressive and whatever, right? Then the two twins felt kind of like sedate, like guardians. And then the one in the back was like a mother, like was like warming mother. And the interesting thing is where the light is up there, it was like that long skull, and it's embracing a snake, a feathered serpent. And that's a quartz, and it glows with UV light. Some of them are very reactive.
I don't know if we can zoom in on that. Let me see if no, that just moves it over. Because you can kind of, if you look real close, you can see the snake back there.
So I have two questions, if I can, real quick before you go further.
Yeah.
Is that considered a sacred site? I know we didn't get to that before. And also, what is the composition of the cave? Do you know? Is it like?
Yeah. So great question. Okay. So I never do. In fact, everybody I go with, we're Briga shaman. We spend an hour doing a ceremony before we do anything, and then we just say, only, we only want to find what we're supposed to find, and and what we're coming there for, because these feel like a tribute, like there was a tomb, and they were done in some kind of sacred manner, and so you feel like am I disturbing this, right?
Yeah.
And and then if you see pictures, there's a green thing that we're all putting in our hair or in our hats. There's a lot of tradition behind what the locals do, and we're very respectful because, here's the thing: if it doesn't have Jesus or Mary on it, they don't think of it as being sacred or whatever, right? And they will put it on eBay in 2 minutes. So I was in the situation of starting this dig, and with a scientist, Inez Urdaneta, who worked with Nassim Haramein, and Yisa and Sean Bond and Trevor Grossi, and we had started, and we got the first piece of dirt all the way till we broke through, found this cave, found this stuff, and it was under a foundation of a building that was probably put there 300 years ago that was in ruin. So it wasn't like somebody dug a hole and buried these, right? Okay. And then over top of us, we would have been murdered by the dirt, but it was like there was this white kind of like mortar and stone, like it had been built over it. So the soil wasn't extremely compacted. It was the powdery. And then the stones, I mean, it was a big job, buckets pulling things out, but it wouldn't have been like it was normally. But I've had to, under roots of trees and pulling out to get down, because, the pendulum's going, it's 5 feet down, and the, I think that there are so many of these that it was somehow done intentionally to somebody saw the future, and because the technology that's embedded in these is going to reveal new building methods, durability, housing for people that you can. Once we figure out a couple more things, you'll be able to make a house out of anything that will require no maintenance, and make concrete that heals, and the polygonal blocks. It looks like we're like this close. Like Trevor Hawk he's already got concrete that's healing, and he's already done some small mock-ups of polygonal blocks using some of this technology that we're recovering from the analysis of these artifacts. And so I've got,
I wanted to ask you, because you're kind of going down this road of, we're getting information out of these, and and wonderful technology. So when you were there and you were in the presence of these, like I've held crystal skulls before, that there was absolutely an intelligence that was either embedded within it, or it was almost like the transmitter, because as I'm holding it in my hand, all of a sudden there's a conversation going on that's like being downloaded to my head, and we're having this back and forth. So was that sort of thing happening there in the cave when you were near these things?
Yeah, in fact, I had a little argument with one of them.
Yeah.
Because okay, this is one cave, and there's another cave that's actually a little bit further over. I've got a see the picture that says head cave.
You want me to pop that one on?
Yeah,
All right.
this is the other cave.
Okay.
This is actually very large. It's this big. It sticks out of the wall of the cave. You can tell it's not a human. It's not an animal, right? The other thing is when you put a UV light on it, that head glows. Nothing else
Oh,
does.
wow. Okay.
Okay. And all right. So what was my point? What was the question? I lost my track.
Well, if you were getting basically
Okay.
downloads, and you said you had an argument with one.
So yeah. So in here, I went in because everybody was out working their thing, and I was just going to ask some questions and kind of center things, whatever. And my pendulum was not. I'm like, okay, don't be messing with me. Like, okay, stop it. You know, like it was like fighting. And I had a friend who's a very advanced remote viewer who has been just incredibly helpful and incredibly accurate. And she said that that I needed galactic permission and that there was something there that would, this after the fact, she told me this. I'm like, yep, I ran into it. Yep. You know, and the thing is that we were also guided and told we were supposed to do this. There was something there that was like messing with us a bit. Right.
Yeah.
And so, and actually where this is, I have a trailer that I did of the film that I'm starting to make about this, which is kind of really taking a whole new direction now that we're discovering, because there's a lot of films of people out excavating and finding stuff, but this is a whole new level because there's a language on these that no one's been able to decipher. Scott Walter is like, when you see it, you start thinking, okay, I'm going to make a spreadsheet. I'm going to line them up. I'm going to find what the vowel is or whatever. I think when we were talking about languages earlier, I think we've lost the ability to interpret a language like this because Scott goes, I was up to 5,000 characters and nothing repeated.
Oh, wow.
And Isha she said she actually sees these for 5 years before the Boogosphere came out. She was drawing symbols like that. And then the Boogosphere appears and it was the symbol that was on the Boogosphere. And we're actually all over these artifacts are the symbols like on the Boogosphere, which people were saying, oh, well, the cartels are doing that to fool you. And actually that whole argument has 7,000 holes in it, but let me just address that because I've got an artifact right here that lots of these have that Boogosphere kind of.
He's gone again.
I like how Frank's giving us the show and tell. It's great.
I have a question for you, Mike.
Okay, so this is a ball that was in a cup, and then for those listening, it's a very Boogo. It almost looks like a circuit board, right? And then the other side has the half moons. There's a little ship in the middle, but these half moons are also in the Boogosphere as well.
Yep.
Now I was privileged to be able to have access to the Boogosphere and the scientists working on it, and to be able to encounter it. And from the dating of the resin on it, that dated to 11,500 years. These are dating to 8,000, 12,500, 17,500, 22,500. And there's some preliminary stuff saying there's one 38,000 that I don't have a lot of data on that or the people that did that. But the Boogosphere itself, when you see that, like, in the presence of it, talking to the scientists, looking at the data, the thing is, it's the craziest thing too. You know, this ball. I mean, okay, so when I didn't know I was going to be able to see it until like minutes. I mean, I drove for hours through Mexico. And we didn't know whether we were going to be allowed in. It was a very exclusive event. There was all the security.
Well,
and
Jaime Maussan has a hold of that now, right?
Yes, it was at his house.
Okay.
And I pull up, I thought it was like a nightclub, right? Because there's like all these guys, like, and there's like guards and there's security and there's like, you know, valets and my name was on the list, you know. So I get in and then I'm going, is that it on the stage? And they had like a little stage set up and it was covered. And then the crazy thing was, it was like everybody who was super famous in Mexico was at this party. And it was some kind of they were raising money for laboratory work on it. And he was showing videos of it originally. You know, the thing about the Boogosphere, people that maybe aren't familiar with it, was people all across Buga, Colombia, different cell phones. People didn't know each other. They saw this thing flying through the air. And then it hit a high tension.
Smooth. It was like gliding.
and it's a ball, it's like,
Yeah, it's a ball in the air. Yeah.
like how is this happening? And then it bumped into a high tension wire, but then it kind of slowly came down.
Mm-hmm.
And they're putting a monument there. Actually, there you go. Now you could see the Booga actually symbol on the front of it, which is on a lot of different of these objects we're pulling out of the ground. So you can see the half moons on it. They're on this artifact as well. And one of the things I've heard people say is, "Oh, looks like a bad art project. Look how crude it is. How could it be from the future? Blah blah blah." It's like, okay, whatever. It's real, and it looks like that. And we're finding all of these objects in the ground with those graphics on them.
Right.
So
And there's no weld on this thing, and it has like multiple layers inside of it, which is just incredible. And then some fiber optics.
Yes, dense fiber optics, which is like what So Isha is a very intuitive person. We were talking about feeling these sights. You're talking about the energy from these things,
right?
And so she said, I was still here in this room, and she called and she said, "Yeah, I'm arranging this." She says, "Do you feel it yet?" I'm like, "What?" I got to pack. I got to, I'm trying to get in. Like, no. And then it was like 24 hours later, all of a sudden, it was like, I can't describe this. It was in my breath. I could feel it. It was like talking to me, and I was like, "Okay. Listen, like, I don't have time for this right now. I have to pack." I said, "Can I get a rain check?" I mean, this happened to me once with the Khafre pyramid. Did that to me once. Like, it was in a different place, and I got a hold of Muhammad Ibrahim. I'm like, "Dude," I said, "the Khafre pyramid gave me a call and like talked to me. I was in California, and he goes, 'It happens,' I'm like,
just as long as they didn't call you collect."
Right. It was very polite, and it the Buka sphere too. And so when I actually got there, I wasn't going to touch it. I was going to be respectful. But so all these really incredibly famous people and Instagram influencers, were there. And
of course,
but nobody was going over by it. And so I went over and I'm looking at it. I thought, well, I just want to feel the energy. So I was kind of going like this, and then I inadvertently bumped it. And I was so horrified that I bumped it again. Right. And it felt like a palm went up my spine and then went around my neck like a soothing way. I went, "Oh, it likes me," it's still alive, So, okay. But that long story gets me back to people were saying that, "Oh, they're making these things up and they're fake and blah, blah."
Yeah.
Well, one of the gentlemen I got to know that took us out, that one of the incredible objects I have coming here, we'll talk about in a minute. Let's talk about stargates. Anyway, his father-in-law passed away and had his cabinet in his house that no one had opened for 40 years. He opened it up, and one of these artifacts was a big Booga symbol. So 40 years it had been sitting in there. So this narrative of everything's being produced now to take advantage of this, kind of. So I made arrangements. That's coming to Mackinac too.
Oh,
wonderful. Because we have a chain of custody on it.
Questions?
Yeah. Yes.
Questions?
Yep. Go for it, Victoria.
Okay, Mike, when you were talking about holding the crystal skull and that it spoke to you or it had knowledge or something, do you think that's really embedded in the crystal skull, or did it trigger something in your pineal and you were talking to it? And then Frank, I noticed on one of those little things you had like the waxing moon, and on the Booga sphere is the crescent moon. Does it make a difference, do you think?
Okay, well, there's a lot of celestial imagery on these, like stars, like actually for the special thing later, there's an Orion on one of these but nobody has really been able to figure out exactly what they're telling us yet. That's why I really want to do this pop-up museum, just because people like you will come up and go, "Hey, waxing moon," and put things together that maybe somebody else hasn't yet. Because Muhammad Ibrahim in the Syrian, I got to witness him with Noha. They had, in front of my eyes, discovered the meaning of a hieroglyph that hadn't been known before. And the way that they do it, people think that because of the Rosetta Stone that we know what they all say, but that's not true.
There's a lot we don't know. Yeah.
And so if they see in this context here, and then they see it in this context, and they know the other ones around it, they can figure out what it means, right? So and this is a whole video that I got to do someday, because I got the whole thing on film, and it's fascinating because what it translated to is the energy of the pyramid, like, and it's in this hieroglyph. So Scott Walter and all my friends are, the first thing they do is think we got to get all these symbols and line them up. And I'm thinking, okay, but contextually, they also have other things around them. Visually, there's images of beings and stars and ships and along with this kind of proto language thing that Isha thinks it's an algorithm and it's mathematical. Maybe that's
There's a lot of things going on right now in astrology that has not happened for thousands of years. Like today, today was a crazy day.
Well, it's just that little eclipse that happened. Yeah,
that little.
No, it's more than the 6 planets align. There's a new moon.
Oh, yeah, I heard about the alignments too. Yeah.
A meteor shower. There was something. Oh, yeah, we lost gravity for 7 minutes today. Don't y'all remember that?
Not sure how the whole gravity thing, but yeah, the Perseids are going on right now.
But the fact that Leo is where the new moon is and all these planets are coming conjunct, that hasn't happened for thousands of years, which is like, not to derail the conversation or anything, but I think it's like going through a consciousness awakening. So that was one of my questions to you, Frank, is do you think everybody's going to wake up, and what happens to those who don't? Do they just go bye-bye? Or
what I can tell you is that I had a friend if you know me, you know that I have a learning disability that's so severe that if I read it turns off my immune system. And I almost died from it because I was working in a law office and I was just forcing myself to do the work. And so if you know me, the fact that I was writing a book would be like the last thing you would think. And so I had a friend come and visit, and she was doing my reading it was Eastern astrology, not Western. And she said, "Oh, you have a literary work," which, and she said, "And it has to be finished in June," which, this June. And, and she told me other energetic things about this. Right. So my point is, I think these things are all related. Like that was, then I had like a deadline, right? And I had to get the damn thing done. So this is, I'm in Egypt, a block away from the Sphinx on Easter morning, and I was working on a book and completely missed being there for the sunrise, And then I'm in Mexico, and I had a chance to go to some pyramids with Trevor, and I was up all night working on the book and missed that too. But anyway, the book got out in June, so I did my job, universe. Okay, thank you.
We'll be rewarded. Yes.
Yes. I needed an A on that term paper. Okay.
But do you think, like, if half of humanity doesn't wake up, they don't get with the program, what happens to them? I mean, because we're all being mind programmed by.
Well, okay. So the more I learn about this, we're all pieces of this original divine spark and the only difference is your spark's here, Mike's is here, mine's here, and our different locations give us a different point of view. And that's what makes everything work. If we all had the same point of view, it'd be boring, right? So for the last 6,000 years, we've been told that we have to go to this, this priest or this king or this educator to be told what is going on. And what's happening now is we're recovering this knowledge that we're actually directly connected. We have to find our own answer. My answer isn't your answer, right? And that I think is the biggest message of this new age, and also allowing us to recover our knowledge that we are actually really powerful in this realm, and that what we're focusing on is transformative and beyond. Like the secret, I think, was like almost a little bit off point, because you can really direct your thoughts and keep your intention and visualization in one place. But if you're not fitting into the field, because that's why all media is controlled, because it's the field of everybody. We all think we have global warming. We all think we have to have a war. We all think we're running out of resources. That's basically what the control system is. Mm-hmm. And it's so baked in that they don't even have to. It's not like some guy with a mustache going, ha, ha, ha. It's so baked in, and the control is just so ubiquitous that we don't even see it. We're like, got to put some gas in the car. We got to pick up the mail, and we got to pay that bill, and we're kept under stress. We got screens that are flashing lights at us and making us addicted yet exhausted at the same time.
Right.
And so we have lights that are doing the same thing that are now, you have to buy them. You can't get the other kinds anymore. And, so we're
which I don't know how you operate your easy bake oven without those.
right. You're going to have to.
It is really rough. And honestly, the incandescent light bulbs, when my father and I, this is actually a legit thing, that when my father and I make wine during the cooler months, during like December, January, and all, to get the fermentation going, what we would usually do is just have an incandescent light bulb underneath the fermentation tank to get it warm and get it going. Well, you can't get those anymore.
I know a guy.
Little crazy aside. You know that. My dad's got like one left.
Oh,
Yeah.
I saved my last one when it died. It was like the last light bulb. I still have it. It's wrapped up. It's shrouded.
Mhm.
That sounds like a title of a book.
The last light bulb.
So let me ask you, Frank.
Dimming of humanity.
So, yeah. So you're saving civilization, and just kind of like you're breezing through. It's a big book. I haven't had a chance to really dive too far into it yet. So all of what you were just saying really seems to be like a big part of the crux of this work.
Yeah. So basically what I'm doing with this book is giving people things that they can look up themselves, things they might have heard of themselves, like things like the Mandela effect, things like the Maharishi effect, the evidence. I went into COVID, and because it's recent, and it was really informative to talk about, the control, how it changed and how it morphed, and how there was an orthodoxy that happened, right?
Oh yeah.
So part of what this new knowledge structure that I'm talking about is the center always remains open, because if everything goes, it's not a truth machine, but if something goes in the center, it becomes a new orthodoxy. And even in physics, we know that the things that they use for constants, like the speed of light or when water boils, those things can change under different conditions. So the universe is not static. So any knowledge that's structure that's going to reflect it shouldn't be static either. So ultimately what the technology is that came to me was this toroidal shaped structure. Every idea goes up there, even because the first minute I'm explaining this to William Brown, biophysicist William Brown, I was bitching about dark matter and string theory. I said, look how much money gets wasted and how much effort. And it's in all these universities, and it's being taught. And the head of MIT has got 3 books on it. And I said, there's no basis for any of it. And I said, even the guys who are expert string theory they can't even it gets so complicated, right? And this is somebody who's seen the next paper from Nassim Harman that nobody has seen yet, that I signed an NDA, but I'll just tell you, like, it's really simple, beautiful, and perfect, and it accounts for everything in the universe. Whereas the current model, it's missing 94% of the universe. And they're trying to, like, if you got spackle, you got a hole in your house, right? 94% of your floor is gone. You're going to spackle over it. That's dark matter. They're spackling over, so you don't fall in your basement with spackle, right? And that's how ridiculous.
Like I'm saying, like, what is it? 92 or 93% of DNA is quote unquote junk DNA. It's like, no.
So yeah, so there's a part in the book on that, because I could not talk. I know the scientist that has discovered when we were artificially spliced to double our neural capacity, and it's a splice. It's like not natural. And if he points it out, everybody can find it, right? And but he's brilliant, and I didn't want to have him be murdered. And he had like other amazing things that he was writing about too. So I thought, okay, anecdotally, I can make a really good case for this. Like our spine and our back and our hips, our knees are not made for this gravity. Our skin burns in the sun. Our women, when they give birth, it's very traumatic, and they've got and their monthly cycle, they have a lot of blood. That is not a evolutionary advantage, right? Along with a bunch of other things. But then I found out, researching around, that the Max Planck Institute, on a peer-reviewed paper, found the enzyme. They didn't find the splice, but they found the enzyme related to the splice, and that the chances of that occurring naturally, because when I was trying to get this information across, I would come up with these incredible numbers. I thought, I have to have a metaphor for this, because that's just going to go right over somebody's head, right? okay, literally, that you've heard this before. A jet engine blows up in the air, falls to the earth, reassembles, and runs better than it did in the first place. That would be the chances of this enzyme occurring naturally. So, and it's related to the splice, and they know it has to do with the neural density. So, I mean, already they know that we are GMO. We are, and so that's how tightly it's covered up, though. And when we talk genetics, like I now literally have friends that like hang out with not humans, that have been on ships, have been to bases on the moon and Mars and the rings of Saturn, and are going to talk about it at Disclosure in Mackinac and show us like, what it looks like, what it feels like, what it smells like, to be there, going to bring something that a being gave them. And when you look back at these artifacts with all these different beings on them and, DNA all over them, you realize that they have told me that we're a product of at least 23 of these other beings, and they all think that they that they own us, and they also think that they don't get along with each other either. So it's a lot of drama there. Let's just say on a galactic level. Yeah.
Lots of, go figure that. So
is that where 23andMe came from, do you think?
Okay, that's a whole nother, like the Knights Templar friends of mine. They were looking for bloodlines, and so that's a whole thing there.
Yeah.
Charlie wants to say.
Hey, Charlie. Yeah, let's get Charlie up on the screen. So while Frank is getting Charlie, just want to let people know, there he is, that Frank was talking about a kind of a surprise little special treat. That's going to be for our members only after show, which is coming up directly after this. And we are at our hour mark. So you're going to have to.
Can I ask one question, please?
Yep.
Okay, it's about the conference. Did I hear you say it was going to be virtually too for those of us who live far, far away? Or...
Yeah, for like $99. Actually, you can use your coupon Frank, and you'll get 10% off.
There you go.
Yeah, and it's all 3 days. You'll be able to see everything. The Skywatch might be, we're going to do the Skywatch, but sometimes with your eyes, it's hard to see things. But we're gonna do our best, So yeah,
awesome.
Thank you.
I'll be there.
mortalsoferth.com, or if you just type Disclosure Mackinac into the search engine, it comes up pretty good.
Yeah. I also have a link down in the description for everybody. I have a link to Frank's book, Saving Civilization, Cracking Open Reality Beyond the Mainstream Veil. Definitely pick it up. It is a big book, but there is a ton of information in here. So grab that. And then, yes, the link for Disclosure in Mackinac is also down there in the description. So jump on that. You do not want to miss out. So, all right, everybody. So we are going to kick over to the after show. So Victoria and Frank both have their special secret links for that.
Ooh, I don't. You didn't give me one.
I did. I did send it to you. And for those, and actually, I don't know if I put the view link. Let me see here. Did I put the viewing link in the description? Nope, I did not. Join us for the after show and it's just a colon. So, well, those that are here on the YouTube channel, you know where to go anyway. So, on the Mike Ricksecker YouTube channel, it's the next one queued up to go live right here at 9 Eastern. It's 9:03. So, so pop into there. Victoria, I'll make sure you have that because I sent it to you the same time I sent it to Frank.
Oh, so, I got one yesterday.
Okay, well, I'll make sure you have it.
I'll see you later.
No, I'll see you in a minute.
Thanks, Frank.
Yeah. So for everybody else, until next time, if time really exists.